This is a list of every NBA Finals series since 2001. In 2021, 2020, and 2019, the series lasted 6 games. In 2018, just 4 games, and so on, all the way down to 2001. If you add all the years up, there were just 3 years where the series ended in 4 games, 6 years where the series ended in Game 5, 8 years where it ended in Game 6, and 4 years where it ended in Game 7. Before I reveal the rest of the playoffs, let me explain that if the playoffs and finals series were completely unbiased and fair, the average time it would take the series to end would be between Game 5 and 6. Each series would have a 25% chance of ending in Game 4, 5, 6, and 7, given that each team has an equal number of home games. You can see with the NBA Finals series, the probability of the series lasting longer than the average expected ending time remained true. Now let's move on to the NBA Semifinals to see if there was anything different about this round. Like the NBA Finals, we would expect a roughly equal number of series to be ending in Games 4, 5, 6, and 7, but as the title of this video suggests, that is not the case. 8 different NBA playoff semifinals series ended in Game 7, 20 ended in Game 6, 8 in Game 5, and just 6 in Game 4. Again, we have a pretty heavy skew pointing towards a series lasting longer than the average expected duration. Now let's move on to the NBA quarterfinals from the past 20 years. When you add all the years up, 23 series went to Game 7, 25 to Game 6, 22 to Game 5, and just 14 ended as early as Game 4. Another example with plenty of data that shows the series is more likely to end longer than the average expected ending time. And this is also just another piece of data that shows how unlikely the series is to end as early as Game 4. Now you may be thinking in your head, if a team plays really hard in Games 1, 2, and 3 of the series, they're going to be more worn out going into Game 4 than the team that had just lost 3 games in a row. So this means that the winning team might be at a disadvantage. Well, maybe let me give you some even more explicit evidence that proves my theory that the NBA tries to prolong the playoff series and final series for as long as possible.
You've commented at times since the scandal, since you went to prison, that like you'll be like, hey, this series is going to go 7, or this series they're going to try to extend it. Is that something that you would talk about with the refs before a playoff game? Like, hey, the league needs us to go, 6 here. We need to get this game to 6, or we need to get this game to 7. Is that something that actually, because I think what happened more than anything with this scandal is that everyone got very paranoid about every game, and the NBA had a rigged feel to it. Do you think it is rigged?
Definitely manipulated. When you talk about Dick Bavetta in 2002, I don't know if you remember the famous Lakers-Sacramento Game 6, right? Yep. He openly said to a lot of us that he was the NBA's go-to guy. He was put on Game 6s to make sure they went to a Game 7, and that was one of the most up, games in the history of the NBA.
Yes. Yep.
And when you talk about 3 referees supposedly making so many mistakes in a conference final game, where in America can you perform at that level in your job so poorly and still go to the next level and ref in the NBA Finals and get another bonus of $20,000?
So he told you personally, or he said openly out to the public, and maybe I'm unaware of it, that he is the NBA's guy when it comes to extended series. He's admitted that?
I don't know if he's admitted it, but he said it to a lot of us, and we all talked about it and laughed. In fact, when he was refereeing that game, we knew it was going to Game 7. Mm-hmm. We joked. We would call each other on the phone and say, Bavetta's, watch him. Look what he's doing.
This was Tim Donaghy, an NBA referee who got caught betting on the own games that he was officiating. As we can see from the graphs mentioned at the beginning of the video, the NBA has been historically successful in extending the series longer than what the average ending time would expect. Now you may be wondering why the NBA would even take the risk of having the referees extend the series to Game 6 or 7. If caught, this would completely ruin the NBA's credibility and would surely bring some pretty hefty lawsuits. Well, take the viewership of the 2016 NBA Finals that went to Game 7 for example. These are the number of viewers that watched the NBA Finals games between the Cavaliers and the Warriors in 2016. If the series had ended in Game 4, the finals would have amounted to 69.1 million views. They would have missed out on 72.2 million views if the game wasn't extended to Game 7, which would have been a drastic difference in the overall revenue for the NBA. The NBA Finals in 2016 ended up accounting for 141.3 million views because it went to Game 7, far more than the 69.1 million views if it ended in just 4 games. Do you think the NBA manipulates the playoffs to extend the series as long as possible? Let me know down below.